Hello, you amazing friends. I'm with my powerhouse friend, Joanne Martin. How are you today, Joanne?
I'm amazing. I'm having an awesome day, and I'm really happy to be here chatting with you, Ed.
Now, Joanne, I'm absolutely honored. We were just talking off camera about the lockdowns that we're under, and you mentioned to me that people around the world are finally writing all their books and they're bashing down your door virtually to get to you.
Yes, that's right. It seems like everybody's pursuing their passion projects right now, and I think that that's amazing. Like they're really things that they've had on the back burner for years and years and years. They're actually stepping up and they're starting to do those and progress them. So I've had lots of people reaching out saying, I wrote this book 10 years ago. I wrote something, last year during lockdown. I'm ready to be published. How can you help me? So it's great because 1% of the population actually get published. A lot of people might write a book, but they never do anything else with it. So it's good to see those people using, what's happening in the world to reassess where they're at and actually follow their passions.
I love it. It's incredible. And we're also talking off camera as well about, and I thought it was quite funny because I couldn't agree with you more on this one, about
Yeah.
people that do stuff and people talk about stuff. And we're both talking about people that you talked to a year ago and they say,
Yeah.
I'm going to do this. And a year later, they're still in the same position. Isn't that crazy, Joanne?
Look, it is. It's really interesting. I'm all about taking positive action. And when I work with clients one-on-one, particularly if I'm coaching or mentoring them, I get them to make some action plans and set goals and then set achievable tasks within those goals so that they're actually starting off in achieving something. But some people I find, I talk to them and then 12 months later they come back and they've still done nothing and they're talking about the same issues that they were trying to overcome. And I get a bit more, I guess, upfront these days. And I'm like, you know what? We had this conversation 12 months ago. You need to just take action, any kind of action. It can be tiny, just to get you going. And I guess I can use an example from one of my clients recently. They wanted to get back into playing the piano. And so, obviously we have a lot of business goals and things that we work on, but we had some personal goals as well. And I said, okay, so talk to me about the piano. And one of the issues with the piano was that in the last 12 months, it had turned into like a shelf with a cloth over it and then stuff stacked on top of it. And I said, okay, so in terms of achieving that goal, your action for this week is to change it back from being a shelf into a piano. And what I found was that because it was achievable, it wasn't putting pressure on to play, that person actually did that and then said to me, I'm really inspired. I found my scales. I actually started playing the scales just to get back into it. And now they're starting to play songs and things like that. And it was just that taking some action, any kind of positive action to achieve that really helped them.
Uh, Incredible. And I guess bring it in terms of book publishing and that sort of thing. I mean, the action could be as simple as speaking to you, writing up a page. Is it as simple as that to start the book journey?
Absolutely. I think it's as simple as exploring your options to get published and, knowing what there is out there. So, you can use a publisher, you can self-publish, you can do vanity publishing, you can do a multitude of different things, but it's just taking action and getting started. And I think also as part of that, so few people get published through traditional publishers these days. That's the reality. You've got to have something pretty amazing, or
Yeah.
you need to already have a pretty good profile in order for that to happen. So it is about exploring the other options and not waiting 10 years of resubmitting, time and time again to publishers when there are other options available to you to actually publish your work.
Now, you're speaking my language on that one because I've always been a very honest, red pilled sort of character. The media would never ever touch me, right? Because as they know, I'd rip them up on TV, right? So the media
Yes.
has always neglected me, and I just turned around and said, "I'm just going to do it myself on LinkedIn." I get seen at least 50,000 times a day on LinkedIn. You know,
Yes.
no cost organically. It's interesting now. Now I've taken off. The media's now talking to me, and isn't that annoying? Like when you need them, they don't want you, and when you don't need them, then they want you. I guess we're talking about the same thing, aren't we, Joanne?
Yeah, look, absolutely. And I think that, it's the action takers and the people like you who go out there and do things differently. They're the ones who succeed. And then you end up with that kudos that you need to actually get the standard, media coverage or, standard publisher to look at you. And, there's nothing wrong with that because that still provides another platform and another way to then tell your story if you choose to go down that path.
Oh, well, I love where you're going, Joanne. So very quickly, so when people start the book publishing journey with you, I guess I imagine they add you on LinkedIn, Facebook, wherever, get in contact with you. How does the
Yes.
journey begin for people?
So look, it just varies depending on where they're at. So some people come into a group writing program where they are writing their book or they finish writing their book. Others come in and they've got their manuscript. So then what happens is we go into the editing phase, and that is quite extensive because there's a couple of rounds of editing. Concurrently with that, we're designing book covers and getting them to, review that based on the brief they've given. And and then it goes into that kind of marketing phase once we're on track with the first two elements, and really getting them to position themselves as the author. Because I think something that people forget is the key to success with your book is you. So you can outsource and you can pay a publisher to market you, but in reality, people want to hear from the author. They want, that connection, and the only person who's going to really drive your success with a book is you. So whilst I help you with your marketing, you have got to be proactive. You can't just send me the manuscript, approve, your editing and your proofreading and your cover design, and then sit back and wait for the dollars to roll in. So it's a bit like you on LinkedIn and making it happen from a publicity perspective. It's the same kind of thing. You've got to be out there, you've got to be seen, you need to be leveraging your own network at the same time as me leveraging mine to make that a success. But I am there and I'm very supportive throughout that process for the people that I work with.
So, Joanne, I imagine the best place for people to get started is to get in contact with you. How do they go about it, and what's the deal, Joanne?
Okay, so to get in contact with me, they can reach out through LinkedIn or via my website, jomartin.com, and that will get the ball rolling. So what I like to do with people is talk to them. So I get onto Zoom or, some other tool, whatever they want to use, so that we can actually see each other face to face and have a conversation and talk about what their goals are, because I think that's really important for an author to know what it is they're trying to achieve. Often people say to you, I just want to get the book published. I'm like, yes, but I'm sure that is not the only goal you have. So it's, digging down into whatever those goals are, because I like to know for each author what success looks like. Getting the book published, that's a very broad kind of goal to have, and that may not actually constitute success. So that's what we do. We have the conversation. I tell them about how I work and how I can help them, and if they're prepared to go ahead, then we sign contracts and money changes hands, and we get into that process. Once they're on board, then I start looking at things like cover designs. We do a cover design brief. They get 3 options to choose from, and then we do refinements on the chosen option. We use that option then to create graphics for social media and their website and newsletters and things that they might require. And at the same time, we're editing the manuscript. So I use professional editors who've been in the industry for a long time, and they will look at how to make that manuscript better and enhance it to be as amazing as it can be. And the author always gets an opportunity then to review that, provide feedback, goes back in again for proofreading, and then they sign it off. So, it all steps through the process. The author is heavily involved. And, when we're through that phase, we get into the marketing. So we've picked a launch date. We know when it's going to be out there. We start telling everybody, this is the book, this is when it's coming, this is the author. And as I was saying earlier, the author really is critical to that success. You can't just assume that handing your book off to a publisher is going to make that book successful. People want to know about you. They connect with the author as much as they connect with the work. So it's really important for authors to be promoting their own book. And I think it looks probably a bit strange if they're not. So that's something I always say to people, if it's not on LinkedIn and or social media, and it doesn't necessarily need to be, how do you usually market and promote what you're doing? And you need to be doing it in those channels. And that's something that a lot of people struggle with, because they have a thing about not wanting to be seen. Well, you're writing a book, it's going to elevate you to expert status, it's going to increase your authority massively. So you need to be ready to be seen. And that's something I work through with people, so that we look at the mindset around that, and we look at the blocks and why there's a block with that, and really try and help them.
Joanne, just brilliant. And I just want to say thank you. And to our fans around the world, connect with Joanne Martin on LinkedIn, Facebook, and more. Amazing lady, and obviously absolutely powerful. I want to give you the final words and closing thoughts.
Today is the first day of the rest of your life.